Welcome to another edition of Dawg Talk podcast, a Butler basketball podcast featuring our insider Indy Stars, Akeem Glaspie. I am Mac Linesk. Today, we are going to break down Butler's backcourt. We're going to do a few podcasts over the next few weeks leading into the season, doing it position by position. Today, we're going to do backcourt. Before we get there, though, we're going to talk about Saturday, open practice, scrimmage. Akeem, you were there. It was a fan appreciation day, so a bunch of fans showed up as well. You have a story online at indystar.com about your takeaways. Why don't you just run us through some things that stood out for you before we get to these guards?
Yeah, so I had 4 takeaways from practice. First off, I would say the atmosphere was great. It seems like there's some fervor around the team, some excitement around the team. They have some returning faces, which is always nice, kind of helping fans get that familiarity with the team and not as much turnover from last year. So I'm sure that's a great thing to see if you're a Butler fan. But, one of my main takeaways that I would say the person who maybe stood out the most was Augusto Cassia.
Always Augusto Cassia with you.
Yes, I'm not quitting him. I will not quit him. He's a sophomore from Brazil. Just the athleticism just jumps off the screen or catches your eye in person. And he's someone they were banged up at the 5. They had some injuries, so Augusto played some 5 during the scrimmage, and just the chemistry he has with the guards in terms of the way he can roll to the hoop, and you just throw it up there anywhere near the rim and he'll go up and get it and dunk it. And it's just, that's impressive to see. That's not really a threat they had last year. Jalen Thomas was more of a, not stationary, but he was kind of a below the rim guy. I mean, he could obviously dunk when he needed to, but he wasn't necessarily finishing lobs at the rim. So that's a new element to the offense. And it seems like Augusto has chemistry with, Telford and Kobe King. So that's good to see. I mean, I think that's probably a better role for him. I don't know how much you really want Augusto on the perimeter, shooting threes and, drifting away from the baskets. But if he's attacking the basket and finishing in the paint, I mean, that's a great element for the Bulldogs to have.
Okay. Anything else really stand out to you before we get into these guards?
Well, I want you to read the takeaways.
Okay. Oh, you don't want to give it all away.
At indystar.com. No, subscribe and read. I'll give you one for free, but the rest you got to check out. Some injury updates. I mean, I guess I could. If you look at my Twitter, I was at practice yesterday, and everyone was accounted for, which was what Coach Mata said. There's 4 players that set out the scrimmage, but they were all at practice yesterday, at least during the open media portion of practice. They were there and participating. So it seemed like what Coach Mata said about the injuries being short-term was true. So that's kind of the only other takeaway that I'll give away for free. The other 2, check out at indystar.com.
Okay. Also at indystar.com is a story we published. What's today? Wednesday morning on the McCaffrey brothers. Patrick, obviously going to be a senior. Connor, now an assistant coach, and Jack McCaffrey, who's going to be a freshman in 2025. So a nice story on the brothers McCaffrey and how they're finding a home in Indianapolis, away from Iowa City. So go to indystar.com for that. All right, Akeem. Now it's time for the guards. All right. We've got a list. We're going to go guard by guard, and you're going to tell us your thoughts on them, where you think their role is, and just how important they are going to be to Butler getting back into the NCAA tournament. So we're going to start with the freshmen. We're going to start with Evan Haywood. Basically did it all for Buff last year. Can score, could rebound, could pass, could defend. Shot 38% from 3, which is a number you'd like to see as well. So what are your thoughts and early impressions? I know you wrote about Evan, I want to say maybe 2 months ago, but just about how he didn't seem overawed by where he was. Do you see him making an impact this year, or is he more of a let's stash and see how he does?
I feel like in a perfect world, he is kind of a, not a true red shirt, but like someone who they can ease into the program. But just by talking to Evan and being around Evan and watching him, the maturity is kind of what stands out to you. Just a very mature kid. He doesn't look out of place. I was curious how, physically how he would kind of look on the court. Does he look like, someone who was in high school last year? And he doesn't. So credit to him, for during the summer. It looks like he's gained some weight and some strength, and he looks like someone capable of playing in the Big East, which, maybe not every freshman is able to do. So, he's just a capable guard, can handle, can score, again, a high IQ player. And that's kind of going to be the theme of a lot of these guys, just a high basketball IQ, high basketball character. So that's how I would describe Evan. And, ideally they probably wouldn't want him to play a whole lot. I mean, there is some minutes to replace at the 2 with DJ Davis leaving, but as we get on, we'll probably get to players who Coach Amada would like to play more than Evan. I mean, I'm sure he's going to get into some games, but in a perfect world, I think he's kind of eased into the program.
Okay. Landon Moore played in all 33 games last year, transferring from St. Francis. Played about 15 minutes a game. You could see, and he was forced, at times it felt like, to have to play the point guard position anytime Posh was out. Not really his natural position, kind of more of a combo guard. How do you see his role now that there is no Posh? We'll touch on Colby King, but he's kind of more of a combo guard too. So are we looking at Landon as maybe as the backup point guard?
Yes, and Landon's another guy who, credit to him for getting stronger in the offseason, just talking to Ja and some of the guys. They expect Landon to make a leap, that because – again, when you watch Landon play point guard, he was kind of getting bullied at times, or someone whose maybe dribble wasn't that tight or could kind of get pushed off his spot at times. So some added strength and just more time handling is going to be great for Landon. And yes, he is more of a combo guard. I kind of viewed him maybe as the point guard of the future, but with Stink Robinson coming in, I think Landon should be able to continue playing off the ball. But he is capable of playing point guard in the pinch, and just another capable, combo guard, a high IQ, high basketball character guy.
How much do you think a year in the Big East already will help him for this upcoming season? Knowing what to expect, coming from St. Francis to the Big East, it's a big jump. So how do you think that will play in going into this season?
Yeah, it just has to help with his confidence and play speed. The physicality is something that you can't really – there's no way to simulate that. You play against your own guys and you kind of get used to them. But, there's grown men playing in the Big East night in and night out. So I just think the play speed and confidence will help, having that experience from last year, that'll definitely help Landon a lot.
Okay. Our next guard is one that everyone likes just because he's got a really cool name, but he also played pretty well last year in spots. That's Finley Bizjack. He was all Big East, all freshman selection. I think he scored, 17 points against Marquette, 19 against Marquette in a big game, really kind of showed what he can do. He's being picked as a potential breakout player for this team. Entered the transfer portal after the season, looked at his options, decided to come back. Big win for Thad Matta because he did show enough on the offensive end for people to say, okay, he can make shots, he can get us offense quick in a pinch. Will that be off the bench? Will that be as a starter this year? How do you see Finley fitting in this year with this roster?
Yeah, I think it can go either way. Coach Mata's shown that he doesn't necessarily need a lot of size at the 2 guard. He started DJ Davis at the 2 all year next to Posh. I mean, they had 2, 6-foot guards in the backcourt, which doesn't lend itself well to defense. But, Finley is a little bigger than that. But I will say that adding size to the backcourt, that's something that Coach Mata had really emphasized. So I guess that would lead more to one of the guys we're going to talk to more in terms of coming into the starting lineup. But Finley would be a great microwave scorer off the bench. I mean, I posted a shot of him at the open practice. Just the shot has always been great. There's no doubt that he can shoot from 3. And apparently the work he did in the offseason for Team USA during the 3-on-3 tournament with Bowden Katke, that helped their chemistry as well. They've already had great chemistry. So, if Finley needs to play point guard with Bowden, they're a dynamic duo. So that's another good thing to look forward to. So I expect Finley to make a jump, in whatever role he's in, but there's no doubt that he can score the ball at a high level.
I mean, and he's more aerodynamic with chopping off some of that lettuce.
Oh, and he looks so much more mature. Like I had to do a double take. I was like, who's this new guy, this new recruit? And then it was Finley. So yeah, the goatee going, and he looks like a man now. He doesn't look like a baby-faced freshman anymore. So kudos to him.
Well, sophomore, you jump from freshman to sophomore year is always, even if as a student, now you know what you're doing. There's no more mystery. All right, next guy. Now we're getting into some of the new guys. I know we touched on Evan, but the transfers. Colby King coming in from Tulane. Sounds like he's going to be the starting point guard. Doesn't have a lot. When you look at what he did at Tulane, running their offense wasn't what he was asked to do. I mean, I think he averaged 1.8 assists. So not really a facilitator for them. Sounds like he might be asked to be a facilitator for the Bulldogs. I think he started 23 games for Tulane last year, averaged over 10 points a game. So there's experience there. How do you see him fitting in, and what has Thad Matta kind of said about what his role is going to be?
Yeah, Colby, he's a true combo guard that might be asked to play a point guard. And I think that is a skill that he can have in terms of being a lead guard, slowing down the pace. At least that's what he said he's capable of doing, slowing down the pace, getting people the ball in the right spots. That's something he's capable of doing. Maybe the best way to use Colby is just to push the pace. He's a dynamic guard. He's super athletic. He can finish at the rim. He's a blur in transition. So I don't think you necessarily want to slow down the pace if you have the ball in Colby's hand a lot. So, and that's an element they didn't have last year. Posh, he's a very talented guard, a playmaker, and someone who can obviously defend at a high level, but finishing at the rim and pushing the pace wasn't necessarily what he was best at. But I will say that's definitely seems to be Colby's strength, and he can shoot the ball as well. He's a confident shooter. He shot around 30% on kind of a low volume, but he again, from the open practice, he's taking step backs. He's comfortable moving off screens and shooting in that way. He can attack in the mid range with floaters, and again finish through contact at the rim. So a 3-level scorer at the point guard position is that's a great thing to have. And he does have Big East experience for the little time he spent at St. John's as a freshman. So the Big East won't be completely new to him. So that is another added benefit and another reason why I think Colby can hit the ground running.
Okay, and another transfer coming in is Jamie Kaiser Jr., coming in from Maryland. Was a highly touted recruit in the DMV area. It was a big win for Maryland to keep him there. Has a reputation as being a really good three-point shooter. We didn't see a lot of that last year at Maryland, mainly because they were just an awful three-point shooting team. I mean, if you think IU is bad at shooting threes last year, Maryland was worse. That's how bad Maryland was at shooting threes last year. Kaiser shot 26.5%, not great. But he was still third on the team and made threes and only played about 20 minutes a game. So his role was basically, you're going to be the person in the corner shooting the threes. We need you to shoot threes. He's looking for a fresh start. Obviously, it worked for Pierre Brooks getting out of his home state where the expectations might weigh you down, where he was Mr. Basketball in Michigan, was at Michigan State, came to Butler, flourished. Maybe Jamie Kaiser can do the same. Was a big Maryland, Virginia area guy, went to Maryland. A lot was expected. Didn't work out that way. Come to Butler, maybe you get a flourish. How's he look so far? I know he was one of the guys that was dinged up and missed part of the scrimmage, so you haven't really seen with the bullets flying. But how's he looked? How's he going to fit? Where do you see Jamie Kaiser fitting in with this Bulldogs roster?
Yeah, Jamie Kaiser is the X factor of this team. When we asked Thad about who's going to replace DJ, Jamie's name comes up a lot, and the size that he can get. I mean, he's like 6'5", 6'6", as opposed to like a 6'1" DJ Davis. So that defensively, just adding a 6'6" guard will be a huge boost to the defense, and that's something that Thad said that they wanted to do, and they're happy that they can do, is just put so much length on the court. And so that sounds like it's trending toward Jamie being the starting two. And, in terms of shooting ability, as a pure shooter, he comes in with that reputation similar to a DJ Davis that can shoot off the screen, can shoot, obviously knock down a corner three, can catch and shoot, and can play make as well. So it seems like Jamie is the perfect fit for that two-guard role in Alex Barlow's offense. And then, again, with the added benefit of him being a taller, stronger player, he can have a two-way impact, and that's great for Butler as a whole. So I would expect big things from Jamie. Again, he's kind of the man of mystery right now because, again, he set out the scrimmage. I only got to see him walk through, a couple plays.
We're only allowed to use that man of mystery line once, okay? And we used it on Cassia last year, okay? He was the international man of mystery, okay? We can't use that again, all right?
Okay.
Until Cassia graduates, okay?
Okay. Well, Jamie's the X factor, and I think I called him the
There
X
you go.
factor.
I like that. There you go.
Yes.
That's much better.
Jamie's, but obviously you can only live off reputation for so long, right? He has all the skills. I talked to his high school coach at IMG. He said it wasn't a confidence thing, it wasn't a mechanical thing. He can shoot the ball. There's no doubt about it. They weren't falling for whatever reason. So Coach Barlow's offense is known to put his players in advantageous positions to score. So I would imagine you see Jamie coming off a lot of screens, a lot of pin downs, and him firing away. That's DJ Davis had the ultimate green light, and I would expect Jamie to be in a similar position as long as he continues to knock down shots, or he proves that he can knock down shots. So I would expect big things from Jamie, health permitting, because again, he's battled some minor injuries, but he was at practice on yesterday. So it seems like he's turning in the right direction. So
what you're saying is expect maybe a King Kaiser backcourt with Bizjack and Moore being the reserves. Is that the vibe you're getting?
If I had to predict, that would be my guess. But I mean, if you wanted to start Finley or Landon and have Jamie come off the bench with the second unit, that would work too. It seems like that is kind of leaning into the size in the backcourt, so that Jamie has more size than Landon and Finley. So that would kind of, just reading the tea leaves, it seems like Jamie would get the nod at the two. But all three players are capable combo players. Landon and Finley more playmakers than Jamie, but Jamie has this two-way size and the shooting ability that, I don't know. Finley's a really good shooter, and I'd like to see a three-point competition between them two to see who has the better shot. But they're both really talented shooters, so they could both be talented options, but my nod would be toward Jamie right now.
And you talk about the size element for the backcourt being intriguing or enticing for Thad Matta. Is that because there's not a lot of size in the front court when you're looking at Pierre Brooks at the 3, Telford at the 4, and then maybe Kapke at the 5? There's not a lot of height after those guys. So is that where you're thinking?
I mean, I wouldn't say there's not a lot of size. I mean, I don't want to spoil my front court preview, but they have versatility. They have, between even a Patrick McCaffrey. I mean, he's 6'9", about 220 pounds. He could play some 5 if they need to, and then they still have Andre Screen if they want a traditional. Because even Jalen Thomas wasn't the biggest 5, but he was a more than capable 5. Bowden he's stronger. He's another freshman to sophomore, grown man body now, so he can kind of take the rigors of the Big East. So I wouldn't necessarily say they don't have size, but they have different size. They have versatility in terms of a true 5, but they have that in Andre Screen. Now, he's not someone you probably want playing 30 minutes, but 20 to 22 minutes, he can excel in that role as a traditional 5.
Awesome. And you talked about the defense. How much losing Posh Alexander, how much is that going to affect them? Because he was kind of the tip of the spear for the defense last year. He set the tone. He's getting steals. He was doing that, where he would sneak behind a guy and poke it from behind. But you're like, oh, where did he just come from? Like, he did that once a game, it seemed like, would get a steal, easy layup. So is Kobe King known as someone who can get into someone's face, guard? Like, who do you envision being their top perimeter defender?
That's a great question, and that's kind of been the question mark surrounding this whole team. I mean, talking to Jamil Telford last year or yesterday, him and Pierre Brooks both said, we know we can score. We're all capable and talented scorers. We need to embrace playing defense and getting stops. So I don't know if they have a one defensive leader, the kind of the catalyst of the defense, but I think it'll take a collective effort to play better team defense, because Posh was freestyling a lot. Like, a lot of those steals came outside of the structure of the defense, where he had the leeway to jump a passing lane or, and again, to sneak behind someone and get a steal, but that didn't necessarily come within the structure of the defense. So I think it comes more about playing team defense, and Kobe King definitely has the athleticism to be a lockdown defender. So if they embrace team defense, they can improve on that end of the court.
All right. Well, any other thoughts on the backcourt before we wrap this sucker up?
No, I mean, no, I think we got it pretty well set.
Okay. Well, this has been we're almost at 20 minutes, Dawg Talk podcast. This was supposed to be abbreviated. I guess not. We just got so much to talk about. So we'll talk next week about the forwards, not so much the front court, but the swing, the wings, the small forward, the 4 and the 3 positions. A lot going on. The season starts in 3 weeks.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still in football mode. But all right, well, thanks, Akeem, for taking the time. Everyone, go to IndyStar.com, subscribe for the Butler content, the best Butler content there is. Follow Akeem on Twitter. I'm not calling it X because no one does, but he's at the Akeem Glaspie, not the other Akeem Glaspie, but the Akeem Glaspie on Twitter. Give him a follow for all the latest Butler news and analysis. Thanks again for listening.